What's going on, my Central Unit? It's the Central Man here, so this is my review of WrestleMania 41 Night 1 or WrestleMania 41 Saturday. I will review Mania 41 Night 2 later on in the week. I will give my overall thoughts of the first half of WrestleMania 41 at the end of this video when I do my overall rating of the show. So the first match to kick off Mania 41 Night 1, this is for the World Heavyweight Championship. The Ring General, what's his name? Ludwig Kaiser. Yeah, Ludwig Kaiser. Really pronounce it because the German, Yeah, so it's the Ring General, Gunther defending the belt against main event Jey Uso. I'm very disappointed about this match. I thought I thought this was going to be a good match on paper. Yeah, this is a rematch from Saturday Night Main Event, in January. And I haven't really seen the Saturday Night Main Event match between Gunther and Jey Uso, but it wasn't a bad match. Wasn't great. It was kind of like right down the middle for me. I'll get to the ending sooner, but I feel like it was a fine back and forth match. I feel like they both kicked out their finishers. I feel like Jey kicked out of Gunther's powerbomb. I think did he hit the split? Yeah. I think he Gunther kicked out of Jey's two finishers. I think one was the spear. He did multiple splashes off the top rope. One of them onto Gunther's back. If you watch if you watch wrestling, over the years, you've watched someone did a move up, a frog move off the top rope, doing a frog splash or some kind of splash. You kind of land on the opponent's stomach, but this time, in this match, Jey kind of landed on Gunther's back when he hit the move. That was a near fall. I think he countered Gunther's powerbomb attempt into the Hurricanrana. I think he one moment in the match, Jey was going to not powerbomb, but kind of trying to body slam Gunther, but he couldn't do it because of his weight. But I think he did it later on. I'm not too sure of it. Anyway, Gunther, locking the sleeper hold onto Jey, but he managed to reach the ropes. And then I feel like, Gunther, he's left the ring. He took the world title belt with him. I thought he was going to leave, but instead, Jey Uso was going for the suicide dive, but instead, Gunther kind of clobbered him with the world title belt. I think he did a splash off the top rope for the near fall. He did some chops. This is typical Gunther matches. I'm not saying it in a bad way. If you watch a Gunther or Walter, going back to his old name, he does the chops. In the early starts of the match, Gunther did the chops. Jey followed up with a, I think he early stages followed up with a palm slap to the face, and he did again this time Jey countered it with the Izaguri kick. So anyway, in the end, I think he hit the spear. Then he locked in his own sleep hold onto Gunther. Gunther tapping out. Jey won this match and become the World Heavyweight Champion in his first time in his career. For me, seeing Gunther tapped out, that's a bit criminal, and that's a bit weak. If it was had more time, maybe it'd be a good moment. But seeing Gunther tapping out, this match is about 16 minutes long. That's a bit criminal. I'm not one of these people bitching about timing about this match. It was too short, too long. But it was a bit too. This show was about 4 hours. They should have had more time, but it's too short, to be honest. But anyway. So besides that, it was right down the middle for me. And for Jey Uso, on the flip side, I think putting the bell on Jey Uso was. I think they capitalized on it. Have him winning the Rumble. I think he was the first. Unpredictable guy, or not predictable guy to win the Rumble match since I think Edge, maybe Nakamura, but I have to say Edge in 2010, about 15 years. and they kind of capitalize on him winning the world title at WrestleMania was the right call. Like, guy's been there for fifth. You know, people are gonna bitch and moan about Jey Uso. Like, they bitch and complain early in the year when he won the Rumble match, and now they still complain lead up to WrestleMania 41 of him attempt to win the world title. Now he's the world champion now, and people are complaining. It's like, people gotta realize Jey Uso's been in the company for 15 years with his brother Jimmy. You know, seeing him and Jimmy hugging it out. You know, he had Gunther like beating down Jimmy to get some more heat going into this match. You know, but seeing them hug him was the right call. And yeah, they got the Usos been in the company for 15 years. 15 years. You know, since they're like being they've got to be like on the WWE side in the top 50 greatest tag teams of all time. You know, part of this watered down, crappy version of the tag team division, and then they were doing the War Dance, then they're doing it with the Usos Penitentiary, you know, doing the rapping gimmick, then part of the Bloodline, one of the best factions in WWE history in the modern era. Now he's doing the main event, Jey Uso gimmick. You know, I think you have to warn him. You know, I think he, you know, and like that makes him a Triple Crown champion. You know, the guy is, you know, he's been tag team champion multiple times. He's been briefly the Intercontinental champion. You know, beat Braun Breaker last year, and now he's the world champion. Like, I think he's the fifth or sixth guy of the Anoa'i family to win a world title. I think the first one was I'm talking about in WWE, it was Yokozuna, then it's The Rock, then it's Roman Reigns, and then you had Nia Jax become women's champion, you know, and now Jey Uso's out onto the list. You know, 5 members of the Anoa'i family are world champions. You know, in the company. It's cool. You know, but I don't know. I think Gunther dropping the belt was the right call. I think it was a blessing in disguise for Gunther. I don't think, this is going to bury Gunther. No, I think Gunther had a good run as world champion ever since he won the title at SummerSlam. You know, he had a good run, 8 months. You know, yeah, he's, you know, I don't see him holding the belt for like 2 years. You know, the guy is the longest reigning UK champion in WWE. He's the longest reigning Intercontinental champion. You know, he's held the belt for 8 months. You know, yeah, I think I think the matches like Gunther as world champion I think it's the weakest out of his title reign. You know, he had better matches. You know, I enjoy his 2 matches against Damian Priest at SummerSlam and Survivor Series. I really enjoy his match against Randy Orton at Bash in Berlin. I didn't see his match against Jey Uso. I think he had matches on Raw. I'm not too sure, but I seen like a little bit of his title run. You know, I think he had a good run. I think it's time Jey. I think Jey could probably. I see Jey holding the belt until SummerSlam. Who knows? But yeah, I think you know, it's too early for 2025. You know, we're in April, but I can see Jey Uso could be Wrestler of the Year of 2025. Who knows? Fingers crossed. So yeah. Besides that, you know, to wrap up, you know, the opener of WrestleMania 41. Move on to the next matches of the show. You know, I think it was an okay match, but in Gunther's title reign, it's the weakest match of his reign. Anyway, so the next match, this is for the actually I almost call it the Raw Tag Team Championships. It's actually for the World Tag Team Championships. The War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, defending the belts against the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Like this, you know, they did a video package of, you know, when Kofi and Xavier turned their backs on Big E Langston, blaming him that you kind of like left him, you know, left him behind, basically left away from the group, even though he's been injured about 2 years, you know. Anyway, so the build up to this, it's just basically, you know, you had the New Day members, you know, attacking the War Raiders, you know, going after, I think it was Eric or Ivar's like neck. The New Day came out with, I'm guessing, it's from Dragon Ball Z. It looks like Dragon Ball Z's attire. If you watch Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta's like attire without the scouter. I might be wrong about this. I think like, the War Raiders. I'm guessing it's basically a spin to their previous gimmick. They used to be called the Viking Raiders. They dress up like Vikings. Anyway, so the match itself was a bit okay. It was It was short in my opinion. It was like some of these matches on the show, like, short. They don't really got enough time to like gel. It's basically sizzle no steak. The New Day members working on the neck of Eric or Ivar. You had Xavier Woods doing the Ric Flair strut, and did the bicep pose. Said New Day rocks. Anyway, I think it was one member of Viking Raiders. Well, I think it was Eric or Ivar. One of them is very athletic, man. The guy is big, but he's got like a move of like a cruiserweight. He did like was it the handspring elbow? Not in the corner, but in the center of the ring on both Xavier and Kofi. That was cool. He did like a moonsault. I think it was onto Kofi and Xavier. I can say that guy's very athletic. Anyway, so they were going for the tag team finisher. I think it's called the War Machine, but Kofi like distract. Anyway, so in the end, they hit the what's it called? The Midnight Dream. It's called Midnight Hour. It's called onto Ivar. I think Ivar's one with the bald head, and Eric's one with the long hair. Anyway, so. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are the tag team champions. They won the tag team title belts. I think it's been a long time since they were the tag team champions. I thought like Xavier Woods were not Xavier Woods, Big E Langston, because the video package scene, Big E, could play a massive part of it. I don't know. I don't think we'll see Big E. I think he's saying in interviews that he's not going to be medical cleared, so I don't know. He's going to be medically cleared to be part of the storyline, but seeing Kofi and Xavier winning the tag team title belts was cool with their new gimmicks. I kind of grew up with their gimmicks. I think like they've been baby faces for almost a decade. I think it's about 9 years since 2016. Like, I think it was the right call. They kind of like freshen up the gimmick, But I think the tag team division is so. Like, they never had a really good, solid tag team really, we're going to have a good tag team a good tag team champions, guys holding the belts. A really good tag team champion in how long? It's been a very long time. Eric and Ivar won the belts from the Judgment Day. And I feel like the titles, like, not just on Raw, but on SmackDown, they're just props. I feel like they're just props. They're not treating it with some respect, I'm not going into it, so that's my 2 cents on that. So yeah, what's next for New Day? We don't know, but besides that, it was fun, but yeah, it was like, I don't know, man. I think it was good. I feel like it's not really a WrestleMania worthy match. Probably on a match see on Backlash or Raw. It's just what it is. Let's move on to the next match. So the next match we got, this is the first of 3 non-title matches on the show for night 1 of WrestleMania 41. We got Jade Cargill taking on Naomi. This is revolved around Naomi is the one who attacked Jade Cargill months ago to point out action. So, it was okay. I feel like the crowd in the first 3 matches did not really. They're just really silent. They're completely like a pin drop. Not saying it's a bad match, but it's just like, wow. I don't want to get into it, but anyway. So Naomi had some good offense in this match. It was basically it's basically strength versus agility. With Jade is all Cargill is about the strength. Naomi's about the agility. She did like hit the I think it hit the X Factor onto Jade, onto the ring apron, onto the floor, on the concrete floor, and then minutes later hit Jade with a blockbuster off the steel steps. I think like I think she countered Jade's finisher, the Jaded, into the roll up. I think she locked in her submission hold onto Jade. I think she counted it out. She hit Naomi. I think it was a. It's in the same position as performing the electric. What was it, the executional chair spot? But she, yeah, it's kind of like in that. But instead, she kind of hit her with a power bomb. That was kind of cool. Anyway, so she hit Naomi hit like a move up the top rope. I think I don't know. It's similar to John Morrison's Starship Pain for the near fall. So in the end, she hit like a power slam. Then she managed to hit the Jaded onto Naomi for the win. So Jade Cargill got her was it second win. She won the tag team titles. I think she won the belt with Bianca Belair at last year's WrestleMania, but she's basically, I'm guessing 2-0 at WrestleMania. To me personally, I think this storyline's a bit weak. I think it only works if you have Bianca Belair, but instead I think she's more focused on the world title picture with her, Rhea, and Io. It's a shame, man. I feel like I'd rather have Bianca turn on Jade to align herself with Naomi. I think I don't know, man. I think with Naomi's heel turn, I think she's much better as a babyface. I think her heel run 10 years ago was a flop. She just doesn't have... I think the problem is, I think she lacks charisma. She's good in the ring, but I think she's just lacked personality and charisma. I think it was a little late for her for turning heel. I think the best time she should have turned heel like years ago, like in 2022, before she walked out of the company. Aligned herself. Part of the bloodline. She's married to, I think it was Jimmy or so. She's married to, not Jay, but Jimmy. But I don't know. But that's just me. So what's next? I think this rivalry between Jade Cargill and Naomi. I think that's continue. Well, I think they'll probably have a rematch at Backlash. Almost it'll be in 2 weeks' time on the 10th of May. So anyway, let's move on to the next match. So the next match, this is like a turning point for the show of the first half of Mania 41. This is for the United States Championship. LA Knight defending the belt against Jacob Fatu of the Bloodline. This was good. This was fast paced. LA Knight came out. He was driving like some kind of sports car. I don't know what brand of the car, what type of car. It looks like a sports car. I don't think it's a Ferrari. I don't think it's a Lamborghini. I don't know. It's some kind of sports car. That was cool. You had with Jacob Fatu, his first WrestleMania match, because he debuted the company 1 year ago. I think it was at Backlash or Clash of the Castle. It was one or the other. Anyway, so no, I think it's later on in the year. It's been almost a year, man, since he debuted the company. But anyway, so he came out wearing this mask. I think it was a werewolf mask, because that's what his nickname is, the Samoan Werewolf. He came out with Solo Sikoa. He didn't really get involved in this match. Very weird. It's not weird. Very, very rare, but very weird, But anyway, so it's a good back and forth between LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. Fatu kind of hit a lot of Samoan drops onto LA Knight. I feel like the early parts of the match, LA Knight going for the BFT. What's it called? The blood fusion. What's it? The blood fusion drama. It's called. But he countered it. He kind of landed on it. He kind of put it in the position of the dog, like a dog's position, while he attempt to attempt the finisher. That was cool. I think every time he's trying to, LA Knight trying to go for some offense, he got cut up by Jacob Fatu. He hit multiple splashes in the corner, pay homage to Umaga. He's got that Umaga presence with him. Even though I think he's related to Umaga. He's got the hairstyle. Anyway, so it's a good back and forth. Anyway, I think LA Knight was going for I think he suplexed Jacob Fatu off the top rope. Fatu was going for like the moonsault, but yeah, LA Knight hit managed to hit the BFT off the top rope. He kind of countered the moonsault attempt. That was cool, but that was a near fall because JK Fatu's really his arms, he managed to grab the ropes. Anyway, so in the end, he hit like one and two, not once but two, moonsaults onto LA Knight to win this match, become the United States champion for the first time. You know, his first championships he got there. To me personally, I feel like the United States title is a prop, man. You know, we never had a good United States champion since Rusev a decade ago. You could say Cena in 2015 when he's done doing the United States Championship Challenge, but I say Rusev a decade ago. I feel like for the last decade, the United States title is a prop. It's not really a I feel like it's a prop. You know, I feel like, you know, I don't want to get in details. That's another topic for another time, but. Besides that, seeing Haku came out of nowhere to graduate, you know, I think he kind of briefly hugged JK Fatu. That was really cool. Like I could see him doing well in WWE, man. You know, there's speculation, rumors that they're gonna have this rivalry between JK Fatu and Solo Sikoa. I thought like the Bloodline's gonna like interfere in any time in this match to help JK Fatu beat LA Knight. Unfortunately, just being clean. It's very weird. Like this is leading up to probably Solo turn babyface. You know, and I don't know. I think the Bloodline has run its course. You know, the group's been around for 4 years. You know, I'm talking about like not 4 years, but that was Roman Reigns' version of the group. You know, this version of the Bloodline, it's been almost a year, you know, since, you know, Roman Reigns left after losing the title to Cody at last year's Wrestlemania. We haven't seen Roman for months now. Solo formed his own version of the Bloodline, bringing Tonga and Tonga Loa and JK Fatu into the group to do the whole Bloodline Civil War Part 2. So anyway, yeah, I kind of like JK Fatu as the United States champion, but like I think LA Knight's his title reigns is so disappointed. You know, he won the belt at SummerSlam against Logan Paul. He dropped the belt to Nakamura at Survivor Series. I think Nakamura like barely defends it. His reigns, you know, every time he wins the belt, Nakamura, they never do anything. You never do anything for the belt. Never done anything as Nakamura's like any champion, whether he's IC champion or the United States champion. You know, IC stands for Intercontinental title for short. But he never do anything. You know, he ended up dropping the belt back to LA Knight, and now Knight's now dropped the title to JK Fatu. Like I said, I think the title is just a prop. It don't mean anything, you know. I don't want to get into it, but good to see JK Fatu winning the belt. I think it's the turning point. I think it was the turning point of this show. I think the show was like gone off a slow start, but I'll get to my overall thoughts of night 1 of WrestleMania 41 at the end. So the next match we got Rey Fenix, his WrestleMania debut, taking on El Grande Americano. That's Spanish for the Great American. That's basically Chad Gable in a mask. This was really, I like the video package, seeing like, you know, they dubbed Chad Gable's voice. You know, he's doing a storyline like he's now a luchador. You know, he's getting beat by luchador wrestlers like Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio. He lost to Penta. You know, now he's doing the storyline like he's this luchador called El Grande Americano. It's kind of cool. Some people compare it to, you know, like Mr. America, but I don't want to get into it. But anyway, so before that, you know, you had Chad Gable. I'm gonna go back and forth calling him Chad Gable and El Grande Americano. He kind of confront this wrestler from AAA. I'll get to that Triple A thing later after I talk about this match. He got in the face of, what was it, Vikingo? I can't really pronounce this guy's name. Vikingo Go. I can't really pronounce it. You know, he kind of hits Gable with the Izaguri kick. Besides that, this match was really good. It was 10 minutes, but they made it most for 10 minutes. You know, Ray Phoenix. You know, I'm gonna call him Phoenix. We've got two Rays. You got Rey Mysterio and Ray Phoenix. But Phoenix did I think some kind of splash off the top rope onto the outside of the ring, but he kind of saw him the leg. Anyway, Gable hit like the I think it was the 450, the 550, 540. It's a similar version of the shooting star press. That is fucking cool. You know, with Gable hit that was really cool. When Brock hit that move at WrestleMania 19, he nearly broke his fucking neck, you know. But I think Gable in this match looked good. He ended up doing the mixture of lucha libre, the fast-paced lucha libre style, and the amateur wrestling background. You know, he did the I think he said gracias in Spanish. You know, he does the thank you. You know, that character is really growing on me. You know, he's just got that Kurt Angle presence. You know. Anyway, he had this comment. The commentary kind of cracked me up a little bit between Pat McAfee, Wade Barrett, and Michael Cole. You know, like McAfee and Barrett think this is not Chad Gable, and Cole says it is Chad Gable. You know, he kind of had a bit of a slagging match between both Barrett and Cole had slagging match between both Barrett and McAfee. You know, it says he's not a real luchador, you idiot. It's Chad Gable in the mask. Anyway, so it was a bit of a comedy match, but Gable placing like a metal plate, some kind of foreign object in his mask. You know, Phoenix. You know, I feel I wish they just changed his name for Phoenix. You know, I know it's Ray Phoenix, but you got two Rays, Mysterio and Phoenix. But anyway, Ray Phoenix hit like a flying kick onto Chad Gable, but he was selling the leg because of the metal plate. In the end, Gable hit the or El Grande Americano hit the diving headbutt for the win. He had Fakindo Do, came for the aid of Ray Phoenix. And also they announced that he's in a working relationship with Triple A, and announcing they're going to do a show in June called Worlds Collide. I don't know. It's unlikely that's going to be on Netflix. It'll be on Peacock in America. You know, I think it's the first time they did a Worlds Collide show in years. You know, I think the last time they did that was in 2020. It was maybe 2021. Maybe they did the unification belts because NXT UK is disbanding. But it might have been 2020. Yeah, but it was like a proper show, like NXT UK versus the normal NXT. Anyway. But because I think it was a fun match. You know, I think the storyline between Gable as a luchador will continue. I don't know when it's gonna end. It'll be, I don't know, man. I think it will continue. I kind of like the storyline. You know, I think Gable, is, I think Kurt Angle kind of inspired Chad Gable, man. You know, they're both funny. They're good in the ring. They're very, they're very athletic, and also they're very funny. You know, like he can master be a really good ring general in the ring and be funny. You know, he's just got that personality and charisma. So the next match of the show, the second to last match of the show. This is for the WWE Women's Championship. This is the title on SmackDown. Tiffany Strand defending the belt against Charlotte Flair. Tiffy, I'm gonna call him Tiff. Tiff's entrance is Barbie dolls. You know, you got like in a pink box. Representing like she's like the Barbie doll. There's the boxing version of her, and I don't know. I think maybe swimsuit or some kind of athletic gym version. I can't remember. But I think she did the same entrance when she was doing her stuff in NXT. But anyway, so I kind of liked it. You know, I liked I like, yeah, I think Tiff is really, they kind of hit this home, you know, with her. I think, yeah, I think she's, you can call her the Barbie of wrestling, the Barbie of WWE. She's beautiful, she's blonde, and really capitalize on it. Anyway, this was a good match. I think not a 4-star classic, but this is Tiff's first pay per view match. I don't really call it a pay per view match. Since she won the title, in January, the 1st January of this year. When she beat Nia, cashing the belt on Nia Jax. Since then, she never had a title defense on. I don't really call it a pay per view. Pay per views are no more. I call it previewing live events. She, her, like the previous month, she team up with Trish Stratus against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Anyway, so this match was good. It's a good back and forth. Anyway, like for a Charlotte Flair match, I think it's right down the middle. Like, this is Charlotte's first WrestleMania match for 2 years. She missed the whole of 2024 due to a knee injury. She came back, won the Rumble. Anyway, I don't want to go talking about the promo. I think it's I don't want to get into that. I just want to focus on the match itself. Anyway, so I might do a re-review of Mania 41 probably in the foreseeable future. But anyway, it's a good back and forth. Tiff kind of kicked out the sit down powerbomb by Charlotte. I think she did her version of the powerbomb. She was going for the pretty moonsault ever, but Charlotte got out of the way. They both they're going after each other's legs. Charlotte managed locking the figure 4 leg lock. Trying to keep it short and simple. I think their styles a bit similar. They're both tall, they're both blonde. Charlotte, man, she looks, man, I don't like her, look. She's in good shape. She's low in body fat. Man, I'm just saying, you can tell, she came out with fake tan. You can tell she came out very pale. I don't know, man. But anyway, so yeah, it's a good back and forth. Good back and forth. In the end, Tiffany Stratton hit the pretty moonsault ever onto Charlotte for the win. I think she carried into a roll up. There was a roll up attempt for the near fall. Can't remember the moves, but I kind of enjoyed this match. I think Charlotte pulling over Tiffany was the right call. I think if Charlotte won this match, won this title on the show. This is on the same situation as when Charlotte defeat Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's title at WrestleMania 36. I think it was night 1 or night 2, almost 5 years ago. I think that was a bit that would be a bad call, because when Charlotte beat Rhea for the championship, 5 years ago, I think Rhea's momentum completely gone, was wiped out. It took her years to gain her momentum back. I think Charlotte in the last 2 years, in her last 2 WrestleMania matches, she kind of put it over Rhea and Tiffany. Charlotte was the champion going into her match against Rhea Ripley at Mania 39 2 years ago. She put her over, and now 2 years later, she's put over Tiffany Stratton over. I don't know how old is Charlotte Flair. I checked her age. Wow, 39 years of age. 39. You can tell she's about a decade older than Tiffany and Rhea, man. I can see Charlotte Flair winning the title in the foreseeable future, but not right now. But this is a tale of two takes, I can see Charlotte winning the world title, to equal her dad's record. I think she's on 14 or 15 women's titles she won. On the other hand, I can see her. I feel like Charlotte is starting to wind her career down. You can tell, the first horsewomen era is gone, because it's over. Because Sasha Banks, she's gone. She's not leaving. She's not coming back to WWE anytime soon. Who knows? But not right now. You got Becky. I don't know. Is Becky coming back? the only two members of the only two members of the original Horsewomen is Charlotte and Bailey. You know, what's next? You know, like I can see Tiffany Stratton going to I can see her holding the belt until SummerSlam, but who knows? But give her a title run, man. If she dropped the title, man, I think we're in the situation of belts in wrestling is just props. They're not it means nothing. It don't mean nothing. If it's not really, what's the point giving the wrestler, men or female, or even the tag team, the belts, and they're not gonna got the chance to defend them, give them a run as the champions if you're not gonna like treat them properly with some respect. So anyway, so moving on to the main event of WrestleMania 41 Night 1. This is the triple threat match. So we got CM Punk almost say defending. This is not for the championship. So anyway, so we got CM Punk taking on Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, the OTC, the original Tribal Chief with Paul Heyman. Punk had Paul Heyman in his corner. So anyway, so this is match of the night. It's the first triple threat match without it's basically a non-championship triple threat match. It's very weird, you know, the last triple threat match in WWE history without a title on the line or one of them who become number one contender for a championship. I think since Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase at Mania 26. Since then, every triple threat matches I saw is for a championship or, you know, a number one contendership for a championship. So anyway, so like Punk has a good entrance, man. He came out reacting of his first scene, his first promo he cut in WWE. You know, when he cut his promo, like he doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs. My addiction is wrestling. That was on in ECW when he debuted. You know, Punk's been in the company for nearly 20 years. You know, I think it was 19 years since on the main roster when he was in ECW, 20 years when he got signed, you know, he was in OVW. They're showing clips of him in OVW and a little bit of ECW. He came out, he also played CM Punk's original theme music. Was it Fire Burns? And then you got the live performance of CM Punk's theme music, Cult of Personality. You know, you had him and Paul Heyman reunited for the first time in years. That was cool. But yeah, this is match of the night. I don't want to go in details about the spots of this match. If you got this on Netflix, my advice to you, watch the match on Netflix, man. It's a really good match, you know. There's a multiple like kicking out of spears and Superman punches and GTS and the pedigree, you know. I think like Rollins in one moment of the match, you know, countered the spear attempt by Reigns to hit the pedigree and then followed with the curb stomp, you know. He kind of showed was before it was really constructed really well. It's placed out really well. Like one moment of the match is it's Punk and Rollins, and the next thing it's Punk versus Reigns, Rollins versus Reigns. You know, you had Punk and Reigns, not Punk and Reigns, Punk and Rollins fighting in the crowd. I think it's their first one-on-one. Actually, they fought in the Elimination Chamber. You know, I always think about their first one-on-one match on the first Raw on Netflix. So, anyway, so they fight in the crowd. You know, I think they're locking. There were a lot of submission holds locked in. You know, Reigns locked in the guillotine. Punk locked in the Anaconda Fives. It's the first time he did that in years. You know, I think it was on Reigns and Rollins. I think, and then Rollins locked in the sharpshooter. Or not the sharpshooter. I think it was the sharpshooter or the lion tamer. I'm not 100% sure. You know, you had Rollins showing at Reigns. You know, without him, referring to Paul Heyman. Without the bloodline. You know, the teasing line. They're gonna hit Punk with the with the double powerbomb. You know, there is no triple. I don't really call it the triple powerbomb because at this moment in time, Aaron Rose, you know, John Moxley's done. You know, but seeing like the reference of the Shield, you know, because you know I think it's cool because you know Punk brought the Shield to the company, to the main roster. You know, when CM Punk was the world champion, you know, in 2012. You know, it's a good homage to it. You know, they thought like you thought that Reigns and Rollins going to put Punk through the table, but instead, you know, Reigns turned on Rollins. He hit Punk with the power bomb, like the single power bomb onto Punk, not once but twice. You know, like the double. Yeah, they were going for the double power bomb. You know, yeah, they call it the Shield bomb, but a lot of fans, I prefer to call it the triple power bomb. You know, it's like why they changed the name of the finisher of the Shield. I don't want to get into that, but anyway, so the ending is fucking good. You know, you thought like this is revolved around Paul Heyman. You thought like, you know, I think he kind of like passed the chair to Punk. You thought like, yeah, this is revolved around Paul Heyman. You know, what side Paul Heyman's going to be? Is he going to align himself with Roman Reigns, you know, becoming his wise man? Or is he going to align himself with CM Punk for the first time in decades, you know? But instead, you thought like, you know, you had Punk going to hit I think it was going to hit Reigns with the chair, but instead Heyman low blows CM Punk in the balls, and then you thought like, you know, Reigns going to get his payback on Rollins. You know, it's a callback to when Rollins turned on the Shield back in 2014. But instead, Heyman low blow Reigns in the balls. You know, yeah, Heyman low blowing both CM Punk and Roman Reigns. You know, and now here's the answer. You know, now Paul Heyman has now aligned himself with Seth Rollins. You know, that was a shock. You know, that is a really shock. You know, of this match. You know, so. Anyway, yeah, I think Rollins, Rollins hit the stump onto Reigns to win this match. Yeah, and this was really good. I feel like compared to the Orton versus Legacy triple threat match from Mania 26, I think that was just like totally against the storyline. You know, that should have become a handicap match instead of a triple threat. This was really good. This has got to be the best triple threat match in the company for years. You know, you had some good ones in the past, but they didn't really stand out. You know, I think it was paced out really well. Like, it's on that same. It could be on the same topic of the triple threat matches from 2004 between Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit. You know, but this was really good. Seeing Heyman turn, I'm on board of Heyman, you know, turning heel, because let's be honest, I think Heyman's better off being the heel than the babyface. I think he plays that character pretty damn well. I think you never seen, Heyman turned babyface briefly. You know, I think he's just better off being the heel. He's just being this sleazy guy. I think that's his character, you know. I'm gonna be honest, I think Rollins turning heel is the right call, man. He's better off being the heel. I think he just plays that character pretty damn well. Like his babyface run in the mid-2010s flopped. That was after he came back from the knee injury, you know. And then when he turned heel in 2020, you know, doing this whole, you know, becoming the Monday Night Messiah and becoming the SmackDown Savior, he got him over. And the theme, I think people just cheer for his theme music. Oh, you know, I'm gonna say Rollins over the years has some good theme music, you know. Like, do, you know, when he first broke away from the Shield, like, do, and then also that, burn it down. You know, it's just really good, you know, it's best in the modern era, you know, but, I don't know about Reigns and Rollins. I think Reigns is part-time at this moment in time. I don't think I'm going to see Reigns until probably SummerSlam. I don't know if he's going to wrestle at SummerSlam, but I think this rivalry is going to continue between Punk and Rollins. This still revolves around Paul Heyman. Like, the last time they did a storyline, you know, last time Paul Heyman turned on CM Punk was Money in the Bank in 2013, about 12 years. I think that rivalry kind of flopped because they kind of continue this renewed rivalry between CM Punk and Ryback, you know. I don't know how they're going to book this, you know. It's a long way to go, you know. We've got the whole of 2025. We've still got we haven't reached summer yet, so wait and find out. So yeah, I think it was a good way. You know, it was a good cliffhanger, and yeah, I'm happy. Good match of the night. Rollins and Heyman are now together, you know, and Paul Heyman. My overall rating of WrestleMania 41 Night 1 or WrestleMania 41 Saturday is a 6.5 out of 10. It's back and forth of giving the show this score rating of 6.5 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 or a solid 7 out of 10. The show wasn't terrible or great. It was fine. It was a decent first half of Mania 41. It's a tale of two takes, to be honest. You know, the first half of the show was slow, wasn't bad or amazing. It was just kind of there. The matches I put in the OK is the opener, Gunther versus Jey Uso, the tag team title match between the War Raiders versus the New Day, and Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I don't really call it WrestleMania worthy matches, but they didn't really shit the bed, but they didn't go, wow, oh my god. But the things I put in the good is, the main event was really good, you know, Punk, Reigns, Rollins. Besides that, you know, I really enjoy LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. I really enjoy El Grande Americano, aka Chad Gable versus Rey Fenix. The women's title match between Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair was fun to watch. Yeah, I have to put Jay winning the title was better than the overall match itself because, you know, I think like I said, the match itself wasn't. It was just kind of there. The only thing I put in the bad for me is the hour of the show. You know, this show took 4 hours. 4 hours long, to be honest. 4 hours. You know, Rumble of this year was 4 hours. This the first half of Mania 41 was also 4 hours. Man, I hate it. You know, I wish they just cut. You know, not cut it in half, but cut the I don't mind 3 hours or 3.5 hours, but 4 hours is too long. You know, I know it's in today's wrestling landscape, you know, it's 4 hours long. I think back then it was you know for the bigger shows for the WWE it's 3 hours, and then the minor shows is 2 hours. But you know, but it's just it's 4 hours is a bit too long. You know, I felt you know, it was starting to be becoming a chore. When it gets to the second half, the pacing was a bit quick, but that's just me. So yeah, I think the first half of WrestleMania 41 was not terrible, not great. It was a decent show. So, what's your thoughts on WrestleMania 41 Night 1 or WrestleMania 41 Saturday? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below, smash the like button, click the like, click the bell, subscribe to the Central Man Network on YouTube, be part of the Central Unit for more wrestling videos and more. And this is the Central Man officially signing out. Check you later.